Hello everybody, this is Alex from FCOG Gaming, and this is kind of a bonus side video from my Let's Play series. Basically what I have constructed here is a programmable factory, more or less. So basically this was inspired by a post that I saw on the forums. I will link to that video in the description. But yeah, basically each one of these factories over here uh, builds according to a build code. Now, the good thing about that is you minimize the resources that you have to use. The bad thing about it is it takes a long time to set up, and it takes a long time to actually go through. The way I have it set up right now is you end up with at least 10 inserters, fast inserters, and smart inserters, and you also get 10 Factory 1 and Factory 2s. That entire process takes about 40 minutes when I timed it originally. I have preloaded the basic building materials here for this video, just to kind of cut down on the time that it takes. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and reset this here. I have this set up so that when you put one coal into this chest, it resets all of these chests here. And while I'm explaining it, I will just start the process here. So basically what's going on is with these green wire networks, excuse me, I have set it up so that when there's one wood in the network, it's building these iron wheels, the gear wheels. Now I've figured out how many gear wheels I need, how many copper wires I need, how many electric circuits I need to complete everything else in this run through. And basically I have it programmed so that when there's enough iron wheels in storage, it switches over and it starts making the copper wire. When there's enough copper wire in storage, it switches over and it makes the electric circuits, and so on and so forth. As you can tell here, this is more or less a continuous loop. So the iron comes out here, gets eaten up by the factory, and it goes over here into storage. And now that it's hit 300, it's switched over to the copper wires, so the copper comes out here. The copper wire goes into storage over here, and the unused materials circle around, get put on the raw materials belt here, and get put into their respective storage as well. Now, like I said, I preloaded this. The iron wheels and the iron gears, or the iron wheels and the copper wire actually take them the longest amount of time. I think you need, for this particular build, you need something like 300 iron wheels and about 1,000 total copper wire, which is a little ridiculous. But, I mean, it's one of those things where you can start it off, and notice I'm not touching anything. It's just completely self-contained. I could start it off, I could go do something else, and just kind of let it do its thing. Now when it switches over to the Wood 3 program, notice how now that it's done with the wheels and the wires, there's 3 wood in the network. That triggers the iron to start dumping out up here, and it also triggers the copper wire to start dumping out over here, which is obviously the ingredients for the circuits. So makes these circuits, gets picked up here, and as soon as, I believe there needs to be 300 of those for it to finish out the rest of the program, it'll switch over to the inserter and the smart inserter, and so on and so forth. So basically, what you end up with is a step-by-step production, which, yeah, I mean, it is time-consuming, but if you wanted to set this up and you wanted to minimize resources, it's definitely an option. And mostly I just did it to see if I could figure it out. Obviously, you can figure this out for anything that you want to make. If you want to use this as like a solar power production, or a accumulator production, all you need to do is just basically bring in more raw materials. Right now I only have it set up for copper and iron, but I do have steel up here. You could easily bring batteries over here, something else like that. So yeah, one thing I did, had some research that I'm not going to start anything new. One thing that I did notice was if you use 2 smart inserters per factory and then have it spit out the other side, it actually makes them produce quite a bit faster. As you can see, both of those are pretty much going full speed. It's not such a big deal once you, or at the beginning, but yeah, once you get into the things like the factories that take 3 or 4 parts respectively, it it kind of makes a big difference. So yeah, basically that's how it works, and I'm going to let this run through here. Hopefully it doesn't take too long to get all this completed. It actually goes fairly quickly once we get past the electronic circuits. But yeah, as you can see, each one of these is wood 1 and wood 2, wood 3, 4, 5, etc. So each one of those corresponds to 1 smart inserter per resource. That's why I have the iron stretched down so far here. So as you can see, this is the second thing that needs iron. So that arm is programmed to go when it's program 3. And that's the only thing that uses copper, so that's why there's only 1 arm for copper. But the electronic circuits, I actually have 4, because there's 4 programs that use that. And the iron gear, I have 3, looks like, because there's 3 programs that'll use that. Now, to get the different boxes and stuff like that, all I have is just a small red wire network, which basically just keep 5 in the next box over. As you can see, this is, if it drops below 5, then it starts moving them over there. But yeah, and the copper wire isn't necessarily set up that way. They're both running at the same time, but that's because these use so many copper wires that it's better just to flood it with it so that it always has it available, and that way there's there's very little downtime with that factory. So, and I think I'm going to fast forward until the electronic circuits finish up. Alright, and this looks like a pretty good time to kind of continue with my explanation of what's going on here. So as soon as the total of these 2 chests hits 300, this inserter will pick up this log, triggering the inserter production. Now obviously, for me to end up with 10 smart inserters, 10 fast inserters, and 10 normal inserters, I have to make at least 30 normal inserters. Now this isn't designed to kind of overproduce what I need. Typically, from what I've seen, I usually end up with about, well, between 10 and 15 of the inserters each, and 10 or 15 of the factories as well. But that's all right. I would rather be producing too much than not enough. And as far as the and see there, it kicked off the inserter production. So I've got iron wheels going, I've got circuits going, and I've got more iron coming down. Now as far as the raw materials go, I've got this loop right here, which basically just keeps putting all the raw materials in circulation to be picked up. I have this feeding the iron and the copper, which gets picked up respectively. And I have 1 smart inserter for each resource, and this inserter is set up by a red network to keep all of those levels at I think 300 units for the smart inserter. The other ones can have overflow, but that way it knows when to feed the system. Over here, as those raw materials circle around after they don't get used, they get picked back up and put on the belt so that they get put back into storage. As you can see, these inserters are starting to be produced. I can check up here and see how far along we are. So we're at, we just hit 30, so now we're going to start making our smart inserters down here, which is going swimmingly. So all that stuff is going to circle around, and for instance, the smart inserters don't need iron wheels. So these iron wheels that didn't get used are just going to be picked back up and put back into storage until we need them for the factories. And so we're starting to shoot out the smart inserters there. As soon as the smart inserters reaches 20, which is coming up, this wood will get picked up and we'll start producing the smart inserters. I think I misspoke there. Once the fast inserters reaches 20, we'll start making the smart inserters, which is happening right now. Okay. And there is a little bit of a gap just because of the distance that you have to travel before those smart inserters reach that factory. So you end up with this amount of resources that really isn't being used, but that's okay because it gets picked back up and put back into the storage system. So it's not really wasted, it's just, it could probably be tweaked so that the storage of the things that you need are closer to the factories that need to use them. And that would cut down on your time quite a bit. Like I said, this whole run through, when I start with no resources in storage, takes about 40 minutes to go through. And already I'm looking at about 15 minutes. But yeah. So the main time-consuming issue is the secondary resources here, and but once we get to the final products, it actually starts going pretty quickly. So it looks like those smart inserters are done. Maybe. Yep, and we're on to Factory 1. And like I said before, we're going to have to produce 20 of those, and then 10 of them will get used up when we make our Factory 2s. And frame rate went way down for some reason. I don't know why, but when I record my streaming and I'm zoomed out this far, the frame rate seems to go way down, and it's very annoying. That's why in my Let's Plays, you'll see a lot of times I just zoom in like that while I'm moving. Makes it a lot faster. But for this, I kind of want to show off everything that's going on. But yeah, as you can see over here with the electronic circuits, it's pulling off of that second box. So every time it dips below 5, it brings another batch of electronic circuits over here, and just keeps that so that that smart inserter can keep pushing them off into the belt. And we're coming up on 10 units there, so pretty soon. And you can see up here that the it's pushing more iron into the system, which is keeping, I think this is my smart chest, keeps that around 300. And as it picks up more iron, I mean, once you get to the factory, it uses pretty much all the iron, but the iron that's left over gets pushed here and gets picked up by that system as well. So we're not overloading with iron from the input, which is nice. Let's see here, we're up to 15. 16. I suppose it would be more efficient to do this something like have your output out here and then have just a 4 and 4 type deal. That way there's not so much travel time on the belts, but this is how I set it up originally, so I just really didn't want to reprogram everything in there. So, alright, so we hit our quota for the assembler 1s. Now we're going to start making our assembler 2s down here. And we'll zoom into that a little bit. And this one I actually put 3 smart inserters on it, just because it takes so many resources to do. And there's enough resources to most of the time keep all 3 going. But yeah. The biggest issue with the assembler 2 is the assembler 1 machines have to travel all the way around here and all the way down here before they get picked up. If I was to redo this, I would have that pickup be maybe somewhere over here or something like that. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, it works. Might not be the most efficient thing in the world, but yeah, it does work. And it's kind of interesting to be able to program this thing. Because like I said, I could switch these inserters, I could switch those over to something different. I could switch these assemblers over to something different. And just figure out how many iron wheels, how many electronic circuits I need, and do the math. And just have those build all before everything else goes, start it off, come back later, and everything is built. I don't have to mess around with putting down a permanent factory that's sucking up resources all the time if I only need, let's say all I really want is 10 assembler 2s. So anyway, that filled up the assembler 2s. All the unused material is circling around and getting picked up, put into its respective storage. And like I said, all these unused iron plates are getting circled around, put into its storage. And that's pretty much it. So let's look through and kind of see how much waste we have. We ended up with 13 normal inserters. I'll go ahead and pick those up. 9 fast inserters, which I bet there's a fast inserter still in the factory down there. And 16 smart inserters. So maybe something wasn't timed quite right. As far as excess goes, we did end up making 95 extra iron gears, which I think I rounded up to 100 just to kind of make sure that I had enough. So that was almost by design. 106 extra copper wires, which again I think I rounded up. 50 extra electronic circuits, which you have to round up to the nearest 100, so that's okay. And 11 assembler 1s and 12 assembler 2s. So now that I've cleared out the final product, I can go ahead and reset this. So right now it's running on program Wood 8, which there isn't anything programmed for Wood 8. That's why everything stopped. My reset is opening this smart chest and putting 1 piece of coal in that. And what that's going to do is that's going to pull all of the wood out of these chests and bring them around to the front. So I'll demonstrate that. And that'll keep it that way too. If I accidentally put in a wood or if I forget to empty something, that'll keep it from kind of running off and doing its own little thing. So that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this build. I found it pretty fun to put together, so hopefully you enjoyed it. And stay tuned for more Factorio Let's Plays. And if you have anything else that you would like me to build or any challenges for me, just let me know. Thanks for watching.